Let's speak to my guests, analysts for today. Joining me in the studio is Chibuzo Okereke, a policy expert and the founder of Project Hope Alive. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening.
Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year.
Okay, so, you've been listening to what the guests had to say, both about President Tinubu's New Year speech and, of course, the much talked about budget 2024. Let's start with the president's speech, the New Year speech. Was it inspiring for you? Because we've been hearing from the PDP, the Labour Party, saying it falls short of every expectation. They had, all kinds of adjectives that I may not necessarily want to repeat now. Some have said, for them, their concern is more about what Tinubu did not say in that speech.
Well, absolutely. First, I think the opposition people or parties are just doing their job, because if they don't say anything at that speech, it will look as if the opposition are not existing. But as a professional who also writes speeches, I would say that indeed there are a number of things that the president would have said that he didn't say, and there are also a number of things that he said, because it's a whole 2023 was a very big year. Right. So I'm sure that both the speech writers of the president and himself had a difficult time trying to put together what to say, because the speech had many parts. First, he recognized the election, 2023 being a transition year for Nigeria, and how important it is for us to have a peaceful transfer of power, and I think that is very important. But also, if you look at this, the administration in the past 7 years and the acknowledgement of the challenges Nigerians are facing, the president himself, reported in that speech that indeed, even in the boardrooms of the broad streets of Lagos and to Bayelsa, to the main streets of Kano, that people are groaning about difficult times in the country. And indeed, also stated that they are asking, is it what renewed hope is going to be like? So for me, that is an appreciable level of the fact that are the issues on ground. But again, the point was missed as to now offer hope. Having recognized that there are a lot of issues and people are groaning, there has to be concrete hope in the speech, telling people, for instance, if you say salaries are going to be increased, when is it going to happen? It has to be there.
Well, let's talk about it.
Well, it shouldn't have been a rumor about April. Right. If you say, you tell us when is this going to happen. If the palliatives, for instance, a number of palliatives has been done, which one are we looking forward to in 2024, and when is it going to happen? It will be there. And then also the president, that speech called on opposition parties to join hands. That is not going to happen in Nigeria, because there's a fundamental default, gap in our statecraft. The way Nigeria is crafted, a winner takes it all. In other countries, the democracy is designed in such a way, even after elections, certain percentage of the opposition parties will be appointed into government. That is where people want to build together. Because how do you run
a... Well, that happened.
It's discretionary now.
The FCT minister who is opposition parties.
This is simply a recognition of Wike's support. Okay. It's entirely a different system whereby the statecraft and design recognizes the fact that there are opposition who have gone into election and who had ideas, and had a number of votes. If you look at the election, not just this last one, all the time, in 2019, for instance, the winner had 15 million. The one who lost had 12 million plus. Right. Everything about that 12 million gone down the drain. It doesn't happen. We need to build a tropical democracy whereby everybody is on the table. That is how you build in a heterogeneous state like Nigeria. We can't afford to have winner takes it all. And they will not come. to the no matter how long you call them, because they are waiting to criticize you, find fault in you, hoping to use that as advantage in the next election, because another election is just 3 years away. So that is, so I think that maybe the president would have been more concrete and focused in offering specific hopes. If we say insecurity, this is exactly what I have ordered the service chiefs to do in the next 3 to 6 months. Welfare of citizens, palliatives, salary increments of workers and what have you, and even other socioeconomic issues. So, but I agree that it's a difficult time, because we had 2023 to reflect on, a big year 2024 to look at. So they had difficulty trying to find a stable focus on offering because right now,
7 months into the life of this administration, is it fair to expect so much? You would think that the first few months, if not the first 1 year or even more, would be the time to lay the right foundation that you can actually begin to build on.
Well, yes. And I think the president highlighted that in the speech. Right. But I also see another gap. He talked about the Policy Coordination Office and how the output will be evaluated, measured, and those that are not offering as much as expected will be shown, the way out. But there are issues with it. The people are not going to, we need to know so that we can join the trade to do this evaluation. We need to know what are the templates, what are the KPIs, what are the indicators, because a man who doesn't have resources to perform, you cannot say that he didn't perform. And that, for me, like...
Is that where the challenge is? Especially when it comes to, say, budgeting, for example.
I see that as a challenge. Right. If you didn't coordinate, if the policy office did not, I don't know how adequately or robustly they coordinated the inputs that went into the budget or other policy trusts of the government. Right. If you didn't manage input, managing output or measuring it becomes a problem, because we have to coordinate from all sectors, especially where the president is focusing. So right now, if, for instance, the key focus of the government in areas of security and managing insecurity, social welfare of citizens and the economy, the input that went in there, the office did not coordinate those inputs. Now, the output, it becomes a challenge to manage. Also, we have to be sincere about this. It will not be easy for a government to do effective evaluation of his members and actually come out to say you did not perform. You are going.
But this president seems to have demonstrated the fact that he's not shy, unwilling to, send you packing if you don't perform, because that he seems to be doing that